Beloved chosen one, heaven has called a pause in your life. Everything around you, every noise, every distraction, every demand is suddenly silenced by a voice that does not come from this world. It is not coincidence that you are here, reading these words right now. Heaven is interrupting your ordinary moment with an extraordinary purpose. The world may continue to rush forward, but in this very instant, heaven stands still, eyes fixed upon you. Listen carefully. You are not like the rest. You were never meant to move with the crowd or hide among the indifferent. You are marked set apart for divine awakening. The stirring in your spirit, that gentle ache that refuses to quiet, is heaven's signal that your time of spiritual dormancy is ending. You are being summoned. You have felt it for a while now. The pull to rise higher, to stop settling, to finally step into who you were created to be. Yet fear, doubt, and delay have tried to choke the calling. You have dismissed it as imagination, as emotion, as coincidence. But is divine orchestration. Heaven itself has pressed pause on everything else so that you might hear this message. There is a reason you've been restless. The same spirit that hovered over the chaos in Genesis now hovers over your life, waiting for you to respond. You have been marked with divine potential, but heaven cannot move until you yield. And so, heaven waits. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest, chosen one. This divine pause is not punishment. It is preparation. God has slowed you down so that you might finally hear him clearly. The shaking you feel is not destruction. It is divine rearrangement. The people who left you, the plans that failed, the doors that closed, none of it was random. You were never being rejected. You were being redirected. Heaven wants your attention, not your perfection. The creator of the universe is speaking into your timeline right now, saying, "Be still, my chosen one. Stop running long enough to hear what I have been trying to tell you. There are blessings attached to your obedience. But first, there must be awareness. Before destiny can unfold, you must acknowledge the voice that calls you. Do you remember when you used to feel him so closely, when his whisper could shake your whole world? That connection is not gone, it is waiting. But you must choose to return. Every divine call begins with stillness. Stillness is the soil in which revelation grows. Perhaps you've been praying for confirmation. This is it. Heaven has sent confirmation through these very words. You are seen, you are heard, you are chosen. Your pain was not wasted. Your tears watered the ground of future glory. The season that once confused you is now being redeemed for purpose. You are standing at the intersection between what was and what could be. The Spirit of God is extending an invisible hand, saying, "Walk with me, not tomorrow, not when it feels convenient, now." This is the hour of awakening, and your obedience determines the outcome. There are two kinds of people in moments like this: those who feel the nudge and ignore it, and those who feel the nudge and surrender. Which one will you be? You have been set apart for such a time as this. You carry a light that the world needs. You are not forgotten. You are positioned. Do not underestimate what can happen when you pause to honor his presence. Divine acceleration often begins in moments of stillness. The key that unlocks the next season is in your willingness to be quiet enough to listen. Heaven is asking for your response, not your applause, not your performance, your surrender. You do not need to be qualified. You only need to be available. The Spirit of the living God can do more through your yielded heart than through a lifetime of striving. So, beloved chosen one, before this moment passes, take a breath. Let your soul be still. Feel the weight of heaven's gaze upon you. The angels are watching, the heavens are waiting, and the next chapter of your story depends on your answer. If this message resonates deep within your spirit, it is not by accident. It is because heaven chose this moment to awaken you. Respond in faith. Acknowledge what God is sharing. Type below 777. I hear you, Lord. Let it be your public declaration that you are ready to listen, ready to obey, ready to step into divine purpose. And as you do, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, because someone else needs to hear what heaven is speaking right now. When you share light, heaven multiplies it. When you spread truth, darkness loses ground. Your simple act of obedience could awaken another chosen one still asleep in their storm. The pause is divine. The call is real. The question is not whether heaven is speaking. The question is whether you will answer. You were never meant to blend in. That is why the places where others find comfort have always made you feel confined. You sense it, don't you? The quiet pull away from the familiar. The restless ache that whispers, there is more. You have tried to suppress it, to fit into patterns that never felt like home. But the more you tried to blend, the louder heaven's voice became. You were not crafted for camouflage. You were designed for calling. You are not ordinary material. When the Creator formed you, He wove eternity into your spirit. That is why mediocrity has always felt like suffocation. You were sculpted to carry light, truth, and presence, to shift atmospheres wherever you walk. When you step into a room, the unseen world recognizes who you are, even if people do not. You carry a divine mark that darkness cannot counterfeit. From childhood, you sensed you were different. Others could ignore conviction, but you could not. Others could walk away from divine things, but your heart would burn too fiercely to stay silent. You wondered if something was wrong with you, but heaven whispers now, nothing is wrong. You are set apart. What felt like rejection was divine protection. What seemed like loneliness was preparation for leadership. The chosen are never called to blend in with the crowd. They are called to walk against its current. And that walk, though heavy at times, refines you. Every misunderstanding, every lost connection, every moment of being unseen has been shaping you for influence. God does not raise leaders in comfort. He forges them in isolation, in the silence. Heaven sharpens your discernment, teaching you to hear what others miss. In obscurity, your spirit learns strength, your heart learns humility, and your faith learns endurance. Isolation becomes the sacred workshop where divine power is perfected in secrecy before public release. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That is your identity. You are not just another name in the crowd. You are royal in spirit, sacred in purpose, and deliberate in design. When heaven calls you chosen, it is not flattery, it is responsibility. You have been entrusted with the light of revelation, with the authority to carry His presence in a world drowning in confusion. And yet, this identity comes with tension. To walk as chosen means to endure misunderstanding. It means carrying vision that others cannot see yet. It means walking faithfully when applause is absent and doors remain shut. But the chosen do not need validation. They need obedience. Validation feeds the ego, but obedience fuels destiny. You are not supposed to be comfortable in spaces that have no anointing. The Spirit in you will never settle for places that silence your assignment. That is why certain circles feel heavy, why compromise leaves a bitter taste in your soul. You were built for higher air. The mountaintop feels lonely, but it is where the oil flows. Remember this truth: separation always precedes elevation. When God calls you apart, it is never to diminish you, but to distinguish you. The wilderness is not a curse, it is the womb of revelation. It is where ordinary voices fade so the divine voice can finally be heard. Look back for a moment. Every detour, every heartbreak, every delay Was heaven preparing you to carry what others dropped? You were never behind schedule. You were being calibrated for precision. While others rushed ahead chasing visibility, God was building your foundation in secret. Now he whispers, "Stop trying to belong to places I've called you out of." Not everyone can walk where you are going, and that is not arrogance, it is discernment. The higher you climb, the narrower the path becomes. Many are called, but few respond. Few are willing to be set apart for the weight of glory that rests on obedience. Do not mistake being hidden for being forgotten. Diamonds are not displayed during their formation. They are buried, pressed, and refined until they can reflect light properly. You are in that process now. Heaven is shaping your edges, cutting away the unnecessary, polishing your endurance. Soon, the same people who overlooked you will witness what God was doing in secret. The world ablated noise, but heaven celebrates surrender. Let them chase recognition. You chase revelation. You do not need to announce that you are chosen. Your fruit will reveal it. The glow that cannot be explained, the peace that cannot be shaken, the authority that cannot be faked, those will speak louder than any introduction. So, chosen one, walk boldly in your difference. You are not behind. You are being refined. Do not dim your light to make others comfortable. That is not humility. It is disobedience. Your uniqueness is the evidence of divine intention. When heaven looks for someone to send, may it find you ready, unblended, unbroken, and unwavering. You are the proof that light still walks the earth. You have walked through seasons that made no sense. Years when heaven seemed silent, doors stayed closed, and prayers felt unanswered. You looked at others rising while you stood still, wondering if somehow you had missed your moment. But the truth is this: your hidden years were not wasted. They were holy. Heaven was not ignoring you. It was instructing you in silence. The chosen are trained in obscurity. God hides his greatest vessels until the appointed time. When nothing seems to move, when every prayer echoes back in silence, that is when heaven does its most intimate work. You were not being delayed. You were being developed. You were in heaven's classroom, where the curriculum is patience and the reward is power. Every heartbreak you endured, every betrayal you suffered, every silent night you wept through, all of it was divine shaping. The crushing was not meant to destroy you, but to release the oil within you. You cannot pour out what has never been pressed. And so, God allowed the pressure, not as punishment, but as preparation. The Spirit spoke through the apostle in his letter to the Romans, chapter 5, verse 3. We gloried in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. There is a secret embedded in that scripture. Tribulation is not the enemy of purpose. It is the escort to destiny. The moments that broke you were also the moments that built you. The hidden years were not a delay in your calling. They were the construction site of your anointing. While you were doubting yourself, heaven was documenting your faithfulness. Every tear became evidence of endurance. Every prayer became seed in unseen soil. You thought God had forgotten, but he was watching, measuring your consistency in silence. The same God who allowed the waiting is the one preparing the unveiling. Chosen one, you must understand. The reason your process has been so intense is because your purpose is weighty. God cannot release great glory through untested vessels. You had to be emptied before you could carry his fullness. You had to walk through the desert so you would never worship comfort again. Remember this: he never wastes pain, he never ignores obedience, and he never forgets the ones who remained faithful when no one was watching. The hidden years are heaven's way of proving who you are when applause is gone. It is easy to believe when everything works, but true faith is forged when nothing makes sense and you still lift your hands anyway. You might have prayed for open doors, but God sometimes locks them because premature visibility can destroy to unready hearts. He shields you until your roots are deep enough to sustain the weight of recognitions. That is why some opportunities disappeared. They were protection disguised as disappointment. In the quiet places, your identity is clarified. You stop being defined by success or failure and start being defined by presence. You learn that the approval of heaven outweighs the applause of men. You realize that destiny is not built on speed, but on surrender. So, if you are in that place now, hidden, unseen, forgotten, rejoice. You are in the safest place a chosen one can be, under construction by the hands of God. Let Him refine you. Let Him prune what no longer serves your purpose. Let Him stretch your faith until it no longer breaks under pressure. Every delay has been divine timing. Every silence has been sacred shaping. Every setback has been a setup for revelation. When God finally reveals you, there will be no doubt. It was His hand, not human help, that carried you here. Think of Joseph in the prison, David in the pasture, Esther in the waiting. They all had hidden years before the unveiling. You are no different. What is being formed in you will one day speak louder than your pain ever did. Heaven is saying, stay faithful in the field. Stay steadfast in the unseen. The appointed time is nearer than you think. When the door opens, it will not be by your striving, but by divine orchestration. What God is building in secret will not crumble in public. You have been through enough storms to drown a weaker soul, yet you stand here still, wiser, humbler, stronger. That endurance is proof that your preparation is working. And now, before you leave this moment, do something prophetic. Type below, I am ready. Say it with conviction, not as a phrase, but as a declaration of agreement with heaven. When you type those 3 words, you are not just responding to a message. You are stepping into alignment. You are telling God, I understand the process now. I will stop resisting. I am ready to carry what you have prepared for me. The unseen season is ending. The unveiling is near. Keep your heart steady and your faith alive. Heaven is not silent. It is strategic. You are not forgotten. You are being fashioned. The years you thought were wasted will soon become the reason others believe that waiting is worth it. Be still, remain faithful, and prepare your heart. Because when heaven says now, no power on earth can delay what has been destined for you. The war around you has never been merely physical. Every sleepless night, every sudden wave of fear, every unseen resistance that rises just as you're about to advance, it all reveals a battle being waged in the spirit realm. The chosen are not fought because of who they were, but because of what they carry. The moment heaven marked you, darkness noticed. You became a target the day you became a vessel. You must understand, beloved, your warfare is not random. It is precise. Every attack, every moment of exhaustion, every whisper of doubt. Each is a calculated strike to make you question your authority. The enemy fears what will happen once you realize who you are. You carry the breath of the Almighty within you. That breath terrifies the shadows. Heaven has not abandoned you in these struggles. Heaven is training you through them. The pressure you feel is the weight of a mantle being fitted to your shoulders. The fire you endure is not to destroy you, but to reveal the warrior within you. For no crown is given without conflict, and no authority is carried without resistance. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Those ancient words are not metaphor. They are a mirror reflecting what surrounds your spirit even now. There are assignments sent against your peace, distractions sent to steal your focus, and fears sent to make you retreat. But the very fact that you are still standing means the enemy's plans are failing. You have survived things that should have broken you. You have endured seasons that would have silenced others. The reason you are still here is because heaven's hand has covered you even when you didn't see it. You are being strengthened in every storm, your faith growing muscle every time you refuse to give in. Do not be afraid of the battle. It is confirmation of your position. The enemy does not waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. You are being opposed because you are advancing. Every arrow is evidence that you are marching in the right direction. When the resistance increases, it's often because breakthrough is near. But you must fight wisely. This is not a battle of fists, but of faith. You cannot conquer spiritual warfare with carnal weapons. You overcome through prayer, through praise, through the power of the word. Every time you worship when it hurts, light breaks through the darkness. Every time you speak truth when fear tries to silence you, heaven moves on your behalf. There will be moments when the warfare feels endless, when the weight of it makes you question whether you are strong enough. But remember this, strength is not the absence of weakness. It is the presence of God in your weakness. When you reach the end of yourself, that is where His power begins. The warrior in you is not defined by your perfection, but by your persistence. Some battles you are fighting now were never meant to destroy you. They were meant to expose the authority inside you. You have been equipped with spiritual weapons, though you may not yet recognize them. Your worship is a weapon. Your obedience is a shield. Your faith is a sword. The moment you lift your voice in prayer, the atmosphere shifts. The unseen realm responds to the sound of your surrender. And though the conflict is fierce, you are never fighting alone. Legions of angels surround the chosen. Heaven's army moves at the sound of divine command. Even when your eyes see only chaos, the Spirit is orchestrating victory behind the veil. You do not need to understand every detail. You only need to trust that victory has already been decreed. Sometimes the hardest part of warfare is the silence between battles, the lull where nothing seems to move, yet everything within you trembles. That silence is not absence, it is strategy. God pauses the noise so you can discern His next instruction. Stay sensitive. Stay anchored. Do not let fatigue convince you to abandon your post. You may feel weary, but that is the mark of those who stand on the front lines. Rest when you must, but never retreat. Every battle won in prayer shapes destinies you may never see with your eyes. When you resist darkness, you protect generations. Chosen one, this war is proof of your worth. If you were not carrying something sacred, hell would not be so determined to stop you. So lift your head, steady your heart, and remember, victory is not a possibility. It is already written. You are not fighting for victory. You are fighting from victory. The darkness trembles when you rise, for it remembers who walks beside you. There is a gentle knocking that you've heard again and again, sometimes in dreams, sometimes in sudden moments of quiet, sometimes through the words of a stranger. It is that whisper that says, "Return." The call has never stopped. It has only grown softer, more urgent. For too long, you have treated it as coincidence, as emotion, as imagination. But deep down, you know, it is God calling your name. The call of God is not thunder. It is a steady heartbeat beneath the noise of life. You hear it in the pauses between your distractions, in the ache that never leaves after every temporary fix fades. Heaven has been calling you not with anger, but with patience, like a parent waiting at the window for their child to come home. Every delay in answering, every hesitation, every moment you said, "Maybe later," has not stopped His love. It has only lengthened the ache in His heart for you. He is not calling because He needs you to perform. He is calling because he wants you to live. Life outside of obedience is survival. Life inside obedience is freedom. The Spirit spoke through the apostle in his letter to the Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 15. Today, if you will hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. The word today matters. It means the invitation is now, not someday. It means heaven is still waiting for your yes. God's voice is not calling you toward punishment, but toward restoration. He has been trying to get your attention through both blessings and losses, through peace that fades and storms that shake. Every event, every encounter has been a message wrapped in circumstance, whispering, I am still here. Will you listen? The call of God does not compete with the world's noise. It simply waits for you to silence it. You've been scrolling, running, planning, and striving, yet the still, small voice never stops repeating, come home, come closer, come now. And maybe you think you're too far gone, too inconsistent, too late. But heaven specializes in redemption. The same God who called Jonah out of the depths, who called Peter after betrayal, who called Saul out of blindness, is calling you now with the same mercy. Your name has not been erased from heaven's memory. The assignment written over your life still stands. Every time you've survived what should have destroyed you, it was proof that the call had not been withdrawn. God has been protecting what still belongs to him. Even when you ran, his grace followed. Even when you hid, his light sought you out. You cannot outrun mercy. It moves faster than regret. Think of the call like a lighthouse. Never moves, but it's not up shining. Even when ships drift off course, the light stays fixed, waiting to guide them home. You may have drifted into strange waters, but the light of heaven has not dimmed. It is still there, cutting through fog and fear, saying, this is the way back. But hear this truth gently. Ignoring the call too long dulls the hearing of the heart. The more you delay, the softer conviction feels. That is why heaven presses now. The Father is not angry. He is urgent. Mercy is not infinite in opportunity. It is infinite in love. But time is a door that does not stay open forever. So if you feel that pull, respond. Don't wait for another sign. The sign is the stirring you feel this very moment. Every time you sense his nearness, that is heaven saying, this is the moment. Beloved, if this message touches the quiet corners of your heart, don't let it end here. Let it flow through you. Light, when kept, eventually fades, but when shared, it multiplies. If this word has awakened something inside you, consider sharing it with someone who may also be hearing the same call, but cannot yet name it. Be the echo of heaven's whisper in someone else's darkness. Support the light that supports you. Just as oil keeps a lamp burning, your kindness, through a like, a share, a subscription, or even a simple act of generosity, becomes part of the flame that allows these messages to reach others. What you've given doesn't disappear. It becomes seed, spreading light where shadows dwell. Every small gesture matters. When you lift this message higher, you are helping someone else hear what heaven has been trying to tell them. Your act of sharing becomes an invisible bridge between divine words and searching hearts. And if your heart feels led so into the light, your support becomes the oil that keeps the flame alive for countless others still wandering through their own night. You are not just a listener, you are a torchbearer. The same voice calling you is also calling through you. Heaven has chosen you not only to receive light, but to release it. So, listen closely now. The knocking you hear is not at your door alone. It is at the world's heart. When you open yours, you open the way for others to find their way home. The call you've been hearing is not just a warning. It's a love letter written in eternity, delivered in this very moment. Heaven's message is clear. Answer now. I am waiting. The door of mercy still stands open, but its hinges tremble. You may not see it with your eyes, yet in the spirit, the air has grown still. Heaven is waiting for your answer. This is not a threat. It is a truth wrapped in tenderness. For every soul chosen by God, there comes a moment where mercy stops knocking softly and begins to echo like a final heartbeat. You are standing in that moment now. There is a divine window, a sacred interval of grace. When heaven stretches out its hand one more time, you can feel it when you pause, when your heart burns for no reason, when you sense the weight of unseen urgency. That is mercy, not wrath. That is love, not fear. The Father's hand is extended, trembling with compassion, whispering, "Come before the door closes." Mercy does not close in anger. It closes when the heart refuses to open. The greatest tragedy is not rejection. It is hesitation. Heaven's patience is vast, but even patience bows before divine justice. There will come a day when the same voice that now calls you gently will speak no more. The silence that follows will not be peace. It will be the echo of a door that was once open. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 6. "Seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near." The phrase "while he may be found" carries holy weight. It tells us that proximity to grace is not permanent. It is precious. There are seasons when heaven leans close, when the atmosphere shifts, when your heart feels the pull to repent, to return, to realign. Those are the windows of mercy. Miss them, and the path becomes harder to find. You may say, "I'll come back later." But later is a fragile promise. The heart that delays often hardens. The same voice that feels clear today may sound distant tomorrow. That is why heaven pleads now. This is not coincidence, this is divine intervention. Everything has paused around you so you might hear this one message clearly. Don't wait. Mercy is the last voice before silence. It is the light that stays lit even after the sun sets. But even oil burns out if the lamp is never tended. Heaven will not chase endlessly what refuses to turn. You are being asked, not forced, to choose life while it is still being offered freely. The danger is not in falling, it is in refusing to rise. God does not despise your weakness, He despises your indifference. The trembling in your spirit right now is evidence that He is still calling. That is the mercy of God, that even when you wander far, the sound of His love still finds you. Beloved, grace has an expiration date not in cruelty, but in fulfillment. There comes a time when mercy gives way to manifestation, when what was promised to the obedient becomes visible, and what was warned to the disobedient comes to pass. The same flood that lifted Noah was the same flood that buried the world. The difference was response. You still have time. You still have choice. Heaven still waits at your door. But the window narrows with each breath you postpone obedience. There is a holy urgency in the air, not because God is impatient, but because eternity draws near. Every sunrise is one step closer to the closing of grace's door. Feel the weight of this moment. This is not fear. It is truth calling you to awareness. God's mercy has never failed, but man's attention often has. You cannot afford to sleep through the hour of awakening. So right now, wherever you are, pause, close your eyes and breathe. Can you feel that gentle pressure in your chest? That is not anxiety, it is eternity knocking. Heaven is inviting you to answer before the echo fades. If your spirit is stirred, don't ignore it. Respond with a sign of faith, a symbolic act that heaven recognizes as surrender. Type below, 444, a prophetic number of alignment and divine order. Let it be the declaration that you choose order over chaos, obedience over delay, presence over distance. When you type that number, don't do it as ritual, do it as revelation. It means, Lord, I hear you. I will not delay again. I choose to align. Let heaven record your response in this moment of grace. Because when the door closes, it will not open again easily. Those who hesitated will remember this window with tears. Those who responded will remember it with gratitude. Which memory will you carry? Mercy stands before you now, alive, warm, reaching. The hand extended toward you is nail-scarred but steady. Take it, before the tremble becomes silence, before the whisper becomes memory. The door is open, but not forever. Heaven waits for your yes. There is a weight that comes with knowing truth and choosing delay. It is the burden of the chosen who hear the voice of God, yet linger at the crossroads, torn between obedience and comfort. You have felt this weight, the quiet conviction that follows disobedience, the unease that no distraction can drown. Heaven has been patient, but patience is not permission. Grace gives room to return, not to rebel. Disobedience is not always loud rebellion. Sometimes it is gentle resistance. It is knowing what to do and choosing to wait. It is telling God, not now, as though the author of time must follow your schedule. Yet every moment of delay rewrites a piece of destiny. You cannot ask for divine acceleration while practicing spiritual hesitation. You were never called to convenience. The mark of the chosen has always been costly obedience. When God speaks, the command rarely makes sense in human logic. Build an ark before rain exists. March around a wall instead of attacking it. Step onto water before it hardens beneath your feet. Heaven's instructions have always been strange to those who crave control, but the miraculous only manifests in the soil of surrender. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22. To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. Disobedience, no matter how small, carries consequences, not because God seeks to punish, but because divine order demands alignment. The universe itself was built upon obedience. Stars stayed where He placed them, oceans stopped where He commanded, mountains rose where He willed. Only humanity questions the command. When creation obeys and we resist, disorder enters our lives. Think of Jonah. The storm that almost destroyed his ship was not sent for his death, but for his redirection. Disobedience never cancels destiny. It only complicates the journey. The path grows harder, not because God withdraws love, but because love demands correction. Heaven will allow turbulence to steer you back toward alignment. The pain that follows rebellion is not wrath, it is rescue. And yet, how often do we confuse conviction for condemnation? Conviction is heaven's kindness reminding you that your heart is still alive enough to respond. If you feel the weight of guilt after disobedience, it means grace still speaks your name. The dangerous heart is not the one that fails, it is the one that no longer feels. Beloved, obedience is not slavery, it is freedom disguised as surrender. When you yield to divine instruction, you align yourself with the rhythm of heaven. Every command is not to limit you but to lift you. Every no from God protects a greater yes waiting in your future. The enemy deceives by making obedience look restrictive, when in truth it is redemptive. Some of the heaviness you've been feeling isn't warfare, it's resistance. You are pushing against what heaven is trying to release through you. The door you keep knocking on remains shut because it is not yours to open. The opportunity that keeps slipping away was never meant for your current level of obedience. Until you release control, you cannot receive instruction. God will not bless what He cannot lead. He cannot anoint rebellion. He cannot crown self-will. The blessing follows obedience, and the delay remains until surrender happens. You have been asking, why hasn't it happened yet? The answer is simple. Because heaven is waiting for your yes, not a half-hearted one, but a full, costly surrender. You may not be asked to give up something sinful. Sometimes, obedience requires you to give up something safe. God prunes even the fruitful branches so they can bear more fruit. Comfort can become captivity if it keeps you from growth. When you finally obey, peace returns. Not because the path gets easier, but because your heart stops fighting divine direction. Peace is the reward of alignment. It does not come from everything working out. It comes from knowing you are walking where you are meant to be. There is no obedience without risk, but the greater risk is to remain unchanged, to keep hearing His voice and do nothing. Disobedience numbs the spirit. Obedience awakens it. Every step you take in obedience strengthens your spiritual sight. You begin to see the invisible patterns, the divine timing, the hidden doors that only open to the yielded. Remember this: God never demands obedience without promising presence. When He called Moses, He said, "I will be with you." When He sent Joshua, He said, "Be strong and courageous." When Jesus called His disciples, He said, "Follow me." Every command carried companionship. You will never obey alone. So, do not fear the cost. Fear the loss of peace that comes when you ignore His command. The blessings attached to obedience are far greater than the comfort you are trying to preserve. You are not losing control. You are learning trust. Let your heart whisper the yes that heaven has been waiting for. Because in the economy of eternity, one act of obedience can shift generations. There is a strange ache that only the chosen understand, the ache of isolation. It is not the loneliness of absence, but the solitude of preparation. You did not choose it. Heaven assigned it. While others gathered in noise, you were drawn into silence. While they built platforms, you were buried in prayer. The isolation you feared was never punishment. It was protection. You see, God hides what He values most. Before He revealed Moses, He hid him in a basket on the Nile. Before He revealed David, He hid him in fields behind sheep. Before He revealed Jesus, He hid him in a carpenter's home in Nazareth. What heaven conceals, hell cannot corrupt. Your isolation has been the divine camouflage covering your development. You have cried out, "Why am I alone? Why do people walk away?" But separation is heaven's language of sanctification. When the crowd can no longer hold your spirit, it is because God is calling you to climb higher. The air grows thinner on the mountain because fewer are meant to ascend. You are being refined in solitude, taught to hear without the echo of human approval. The Spirit spoke through the physician Luke, chapter 5, verse 16. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. You are being stripped of distractions so that discernment can awaken. Isolation is not a rejection of love. It is a reintroduction to the voice that first loved you. When the world's noise fades, the whisper of God grows loud. He speaks most clearly when nothing else competes. In isolation, your heart becomes uncluttered. The opinions of others begin to lose their grip. The masks you wore for survival begin to fall. The Spirit starts untangling false identities, peeling away every layer that was never truly you. You start remembering who you were before the world taught you to perform. Yes, isolation hurts. It stretches the soul and tests endurance. But it is in the wilderness that warriors are born. Every true prophet, every reformer, every vessel of power has known the sting of solitude. God separates before He sends. He hides before He heralds. Do not misinterpret divine silence as divine absence. When heaven hides you, it is building your roots. Trees that grow fast are easily uprooted, but those planted deep survive every storm. Your current quietness is not a sign of weakness. It is the rooting process. The deeper the roots, the higher the growth that will follow. The isolation of the chosen is sacred because it detoxes the spirit. You start noticing how noise has shaped your faith, how opinions have clouded your obedience. You realize that peace does not come from people understanding you. It comes from you understanding your purpose. You have been misunderstood, even accused of pride or distance. But God sees the truth. You are not withdrawing out of arrogance. You are obeying a call that demands stillness. There is a season when heaven must silence every other voice so that you learn to recognize only one. The wilderness is also a mirror. It shows you what applause once hid. It exposes the parts of you that need healing. It brings to the surface both wounds and wisdom. The loneliness becomes a lamp, illuminating hidden fears, unresolved pain, and buried strength. When you emerge, you do not come out the same. You come out purified, anchored, and unshakable. In isolation, you also meet the weight of divine responsibility. Without distraction, God begins to show you what He intends to build through your obedience. He whispers ideas that frighten you, visions that seem impossible. He does not reveal them to many, only to those who have proven they can handle silence. So, beloved, do not rush to escape this solitude. It is holy ground disguised as emptiness. When others are busy chasing recognition, you are learning revelation. When others seek platforms, you are building altars. Heaven prefers altars to stages. And though you may not see the purpose yet, one day you will look back and realize that everything you are becoming was forged here. See, in the quiet rooms, in the long nights, in the unseen prayers, you will recognize that your isolation was the cocoon of your transformation. Butterflies never curse the cocoon. They bless it, because that is where wings are formed. The season you now call loneliness will one day be the story of your awakening. You will thank God for every closed door, every lost friend, every silent night, because you will see they were all teachers dressed as pain. The chosen are never alone. They are accompanied by purpose. Even when you feel forgotten, heaven is near. The silence surrounding you is not empty space. It is sacred strategy. Trust it, embrace it, let it do its work. When the time is right, God Himself will speak your name into the atmosphere, and every eye that once overlooked, you will see the glory that grew in secret. Until then, walk quietly, listen deeply, and remember, solitude is not the absence of God, it is the presence of His preparation. There comes a moment in the wilderness when silence gives way to sound again. Not the noise of the world, but the voice of heaven breaking through the stillness. It is softer than thunder, stronger than reason. It speaks not to your ears, but to your spirit, reminding you of something sacred you once promised. The voice returns, not to condemn, but to rekindle. You remember that vow, don't you? The one whispered in a midnight prayer, the one you made through tears when no one was watching. You said, "Use me, Lord, whatever it takes." You didn't know then that those words would invite testing, pruning, and waiting. You thought surrender would bring ease, but heaven heard your words as permission to refine. For a while, you forgot the promise. Life grew loud. The world offered comfort, distraction, opportunity. Yet deep within, a part of you never stopped burning. That unexplainable stirring, that is your vow calling you home. God never forgets what you promise in pain. He holds your words like seeds, waiting for the season of fulfillment, as was spoken in the sacred writings of Matthew, chapter 3, verse 3. The voice of one crying in the wilderness, "Prepare the way of the Lord, make His paths straight." The wilderness is never wasted. It becomes the stage where heaven's voice reawakens your purpose. That voice is not coming to shame you for forgetting. It comes to remind you that you are still called, still chosen, still part of the divine plan. Sometimes the reminder hurts. It pulls you away from what is easy, back into the refining fire. You will feel heaven rearranging your steps, stripping away distractions, realigning your desires. That's what preparation looks like. The anointing you carry cannot be activated in comfort. It requires consecration. The voice that calls is the same one that carried Elijah into courage, Moses into leadership, and Esther into destiny. It speaks with tenderness but carries authority. You may try to ignore it, but it will keep returning until obedience is complete. God's call is not a whisper you silence with excuses. It is a wind that follows you until you turn your face toward it. You might ask, how do I know it's God? Because His voice brings clarity, it convicts, not condemns. It draws you closer instead of pushing you away. It exposes sin but also offers mercy. It reminds you of who you are, not what you've done. Every time you sense that inner pull, the one that makes your heart beat faster, that brings tears without explanation, that is heaven speaking. Do not mistake familiarity for safety. Sometimes the familiar is the very place that dulls your hearing. Step away from the noise that competes with His voice. The next instruction you need will come in stillness. When God speaks, He does not simply inform, He transforms. His word reshapes your reality, turning chaos into clarity. Every command carries creative power. When He says, go, paths appear. When He says, wait, calm. When He speak, the heavens echo. Your obedience to His voice activates heaven's blueprint for your life. The enemy's strategy is simple: to drown out that voice. That's why distraction has multiplied. That's why your mind feels crowded. Darkness cannot stop your calling, so it tries to clutter your hearing. But when you quiet yourself, when you listen intentionally, heaven breaks through. Right now, even as you read these words, that same voice is whispering again. It says, return to your vow. The promise you made still lives. The oil hasn't dried up, the flame hasn't gone out. It only needs breath, your obedience, to ignite again. Do not let regret silence your response. God is not asking for perfect words. He is asking for a willing heart. You may feel unworthy, but His grace qualifies the willing. You may feel late, but eternity is patient for those who answer. The wilderness was never meant to be permanent. It was meant to produce clarity. You stand now at a threshold. Behind you is survival. Ahead of you is purpose. All heaven waits for your response. The angels are still. The atmosphere holds its breath. This is your moment of recognition. Your, here I am, Lord. So before you move on, do one simple prophetic act. Type below, speak, Lord. It's not just a comment. It's a covenant. When you type those two words, you're telling heaven, I'm listening again. You're reopening the conversation between you and God that silence tried to end. You're inviting the same Spirit that spoke to prophets and kings to speak directly to you once more. Those two words are the keys that unlock instruction, healing, and direction. Say them with your spirit, not just your fingers. Whisper them as a declaration of surrender. The wilderness is about to echo with revelation again, because when the chosen say, speak, Lord, heaven never stays silent. Your voice is heard. Your vow is remembered. The conversation has begun again. There is a divine rhythm in the delays of your life. Every pause, every detour, every door that refused to open, none of it was failure. It was alignment. Heaven has been rearranging your steps, setting the stage for what your eyes have not yet seen. You thought you were waiting on God, but all this time, God was positioning you. Every chosen one must pass through the season of divine rearrangement. The world calls it confusion. Heaven calls it construction. You were never being punished. You were being prepared. The shaking, the shifting, the silence. They were not endings, but edits. God has been rewriting your story line by line, removing what no longer fits the next chapter. When the plan you built began to crumble, it wasn't destruction, it was direction. Heaven dismantles what was never meant to carry your destiny. You prayed for open doors, but some of those doors led to dead ends. You asked for progress, but progress sometimes means pruning. The prophet Jeremiah spoke it clearly in the book that bears his name. Chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That promise is not poetry, it is structure. Plans means heaven has already written your outcome. Even when your current chapter feels unfinished, the ending is already secured. God is not improvising with your life. He is orchestrating. Every disappointment was a rerouting. Every closed door was divine redirection towards something stronger. You see, alignment is not about speed, it's about sequence. The right blessing at the wrong time can still break you. That is why heaven slows you down, so that the weight of the promise will not crush the unready heart. Every divine delay has been a safeguard against premature exposure. The chosen are like arrows. Before release, they are pulled backward, not to hinder, but to build tension for distance. The more God pulls, the farther He plans to send you. The discomfort of delay is the proof of destiny. Perhaps you have been asking, why is nothing working? But look again. Things are working, just not in the way you imagined. God is building alignment beneath the surface. The relationships you lost, the moves you didn't make, the opportunities that seemed to vanish. Each was a piece of heaven's geometry, forming the pattern of your calling. Alignment often feels like loss because heaven removes what no longer agrees with your future. When you prayed for clarity, God sent separation. When you prayed for strength, He sent stillness. When you prayed for purpose, He sent pruning. The answer didn't look holy, but it was. Your story is not off track. You are not late. You are precisely where obedience has brought you. The detour was destiny in disguise. And beloved, if these words find you in that in-between space, where you know God has promised more, but you can't yet see how it connects, take heart. You are standing in the tension between prophecy and fulfillment, and that tension is holy. The unseen alignment happening now is what will make the next season sustainable. If this message reaches into that quiet place within you, take a moment to breathe it in. Let it remind you that you are not forgotten. Let it reassure you that your life is being guided by unseen hands far wiser than your own. And if it speaks to you, if it helps you make sense of your storm, share it. Because when you share light, you are scattering seeds. Each time you pass truth forward, it lands in another heart waiting for the same reassurance. A simple act, liking, sharing, subscribing, becomes more than a digital gesture. It becomes ministry. You're joining a movement of voices carrying the same flame into darker corners of the world. And if you feel stirred to go further, to help this light reach those who can't find it yet, you can sow into it. Every offering, no matter the size, becomes oil for the lamp, keeping the flame alive in places you may never see. Just as rivers feed oceans unseen, your giving becomes part of the current that carries truth farther. It's not about funding words. It's about fueling transformation. The messages that strengthen you today will one day rescue someone else tomorrow. That is how heaven multiplies what it touches, through the open hands of those who have been touched by grace. You are not just a listener. You are part of the story being written. Every gesture of support, every act of generosity becomes a brick in the altar of light that heaven is building through these moments. So, walk in peace, chosen one. The alignment you are seeking is already unfolding. What you thought was delay was divine choreography. Heaven has not forgotten your name. It has been preparing the stage for your entrance. The curtain of confusion is lifting, and the spotlight of purpose is about to find you. Your waiting has not been wasted. It has been weaving your tomorrow. Everything that can be shaken is being shaken. What you thought was stable is trembling. What you relied on is shifting, and what you once called secure now feels uncertain. But take heart. This shaking is not meant to destroy you. It is designed to reveal what cannot be moved. God is not dismantling your life. He is distinguishing what is eternal from what was temporary. There comes a time in every chosen one's journey when heaven disrupts comfort so that faith can breathe again. The shaking is the sound of divine construction. What feels like chaos is often the sound of God rearranging the foundation of your soul. The walls of familiarity must fall so that something greater can stand in their place. It was written in the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 26. Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. This verse is more than prophecy. It is pattern. God shakes not to scatter, but to separate. The shaking reveals what truly belongs to you and what never did. It exposes false security, removes counterfeit connections, and refines faith until only what is real remains. The shaking of heaven and earth means the alignment of realms, your inner world being adjusted to match the rhythm of God's will. You may feel the tension even now, the relationships that no longer flow, the habits that no longer satisfy, the opportunities that no longer fit. These are not random collapses, they are divine recalibrations. The same hands that formed the stars are now shifting the structure of your story. The shaking hurts because it touches what we built with our own hands. We cling to what once worked, unaware that God must sometimes dismantle even our successes to rebuild our foundations. He loves you too much to let you build forever on sand. Every false comfort, every fragile identity, every shallow dream must crumble so that only the unshakable remains, His purpose in you. When the chosen are shaken, heaven is not punishing them, it is promoting them. Shaking is the language of transition. It is heaven's way of saying, what sustained you in the last season cannot sustain you in the next. You are not losing stability, you are gaining authenticity. Think of a tree during a storm. The wind does not move it to destroy its roots. It tests the depth of them. If the roots hold, the tree grows stronger. Likewise, this shaking is testing the depth of your faith. What was built on emotion will fall, but what is anchored in truth will endure. You have prayed for increase, but increase requires capacity. God cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. That is why everything comfortable is being stretched. Everything predictable is being undone. He is making room. You are being stretched not to break, but to contain more glory. Every chosen one goes through this stage. Abraham left his homeland. Joseph lost his family. Job lost everything he owned. Yet after the shaking came the revelation. After the breaking came the blessing. God removes to restore, shakes to strengthen, and empties to refill. It may feel like everything familiar is slipping through your fingers, but remember, what is truly yours cannot be shaken away. True relationships, divine assignments, and heaven's promises endure every quake. What falls was never meant to remain. Let it fall. What is meant for you will stand unshaken when the dust settles. In the shaking, God also purifies motives. He exposes why you started and who you've become. He reminds you that calling is not about control, but surrender. That ministry is not about platform, but presence. That success is not about visibility, but obedience. The shaking humbles the proud and steadies the humble. So when everything feels uncertain, stand still. The same God who shook Sinai with thunder also whispered to Elijah in a gentle breeze. The same God who sent earthquakes also raised the dead in stillness. His shaking is never random. It is always redemptive. There will come a moment, soon, when you will look back at this chaos and realize it was the mercy of God disguised as instability. You will see how every loss made room for truth, how every shaking stripped away the unnecessary, how every trembling set you free from illusions of control. You are being built for endurance. The chosen cannot be fragile. Their faith must be forged. You will emerge from this with a strength that no storm can steal. What once terrified you will one day testify through you. So do not fear the trembling beneath your feet. It is not the end, but the unveiling. The ground is not breaking apart, it is breaking open. The shaking is not against you, it is for you. You are being separated from the temporal and secured in the eternal. And when the shaking ceases, when the dust finally settles, you will stand among the unshakable, rooted, refined, and radiant with the glory of the One who never moved even when the world did. There is a secret crown that heaven gives, not made of gold or adorned with jewels, but woven from obedience. It is not seen by human eyes, yet it shines brighter than any earthly reward. This is the crown of obedience, given to those who choose surrender when resistance would be easier, who say yes when everything in them wants to run. Obedience has never been glamorous. It is quiet, often unseen. It does not seek applause or recognition. It is the unseen root beneath every visible miracle. Before every breakthrough stands a decision to obey. When heaven looks for greatness, it does not search for perfection. It searches for obedience. You have been learning this truth perhaps the hard way. Each time you surrendered, something sacred grew inside you. Each time you resisted temptation, trusted through uncertainty, or stayed faithful in silence, heaven recorded it. You were being crowned long before anyone knew your name. The word of the Lord declares in the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 19, "If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land." That promise is not about earthly wealth alone. It is about spiritual abundance. The good of the land means divine fulfillment, peace that surpasses logic, joy that no circumstance can steal. It is the reward of hearts that choose alignment over comfort. Obedience opens what effort cannot. It is the master key to locked seasons. There are doors your fasting, striving, and planning could never open, but one act of obedience can. God does not need your strategy. He desires your surrender. When you obey, you authorize heaven to act on your behalf. But obedience will test you before it blesses you. It will challenge your comfort, your pride, your control. It will call you to move when you feel unready and to wait when you feel restless. It will strip you of the illusion that you understand God's timing. And yet, through every test, it purifies your heart until trust becomes instinct. There will be moments when obedience costs you something dear, a relationship, a dream, a plan you thought was sacred. But what you release for God never disappears. It multiplies in another dimension. Abraham laid Isaac down, but received a nation in return. Ruth left comfort and found destiny. Peter cast his nets aside and found purpose that changed the world. To obey is to love in action. Love that merely feels is sentiment. Love that obeys is covenant. Every time you choose obedience, heaven calls your name with honor. The angels mark it, the heavens record it, and unseen chains begin to break around you. Sometimes, the hardest obedience is not in what you do, but in what you stop doing. Stopping the endless worry, the striving, the controlling, and choosing to rest in divine direction. That kind of surrender is power disguised as peace. It is the moment when you realize that the God who commands is also the God who carries. Do not despise the cost of obedience, for every act of surrender plants a seed of glory. You may not see the harvest immediately, but it will come. The soil of obedience never fails to bear fruit. What you sow in trust, you will reap in triumph. Perhaps you are standing at a crossroads now, feeling the tug between your will and His. Heaven is watching, not to judge, but to cheer. Every time a chosen one says yes, the unseen realm rejoices, because that yes is not just about you. It shifts the atmosphere for generations. The enemy fears obedience more than warfare. He can resist your words, but not your surrender. The moment you obey, his grip breaks. The very act of saying yes becomes a weapon sharper than any sword. Chosen one, your obedience today will become your crown tomorrow. Do not measure its value by immediate reward. Measure it by eternal impact. The glory that awaits you far outweighs the temporary sacrifice. If you feel the gentle pull of conviction, do not ignore it. That tug is heaven's invitation to rise higher. Respond not with hesitation, but with faith. Take a moment right now. This is holy ground. Let your response echo in both realms. Type below 5v5. Do it not as ritual, but as recognition. 5 is the number of grace, and typing 5 and 55 is your declaration that grace empowers obedience. You are saying, Lord, I choose your will. I choose to trust your timing. I choose to walk where you lead. It is your prophetic agreement with heaven's rhythm, a symbol of surrender and strength. As you write it, imagine the unseen. Crowns being prepared, angels marking your name, the light around you growing brighter. This act of response is not small. It is spiritual alignment in motion. You have carried much. You have obeyed in tears, in loneliness, in uncertainty. Heaven has seen it all. The crown may not yet rest upon your head, but it is being fashioned for the day of unveiling. You are not forgotten. You are being honored in secret. So wear obedience as armor. Let it guard your mind, steady your steps, and shape your future. The good of the land is coming, not as reward for perfection, but as the fruit of surrender. There are moments in every chosen one's journey when fire becomes the teacher. Not the fire that destroys, but the fire that refines. It is the holy flame of purification, the process by which heaven burns away what cannot continue into the next season. You have walked through this fire before, though perhaps you did not recognize it for what it was. Every betrayal, every loss, every dark night of the soul was fire disguised as mercy. You cannot carry the fragrance of heaven without first enduring the furnace of refinement. Fire is the language God uses to separate imitation from authenticity. It tests motives, purifies intentions, and melts away pride until only purity remains. What feels like suffering is often sanctification in progress. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9. I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. That is not a threat. It is a promise. Refining is heaven's affirmation that you are worth purifying. God only refines what he intends to use greatly. The heat you feel is not abandonment, it is attention. You are being prepared for glory far greater than your present comprehension. In the furnace of affliction, things begin to fall away. Some friendships fade, opportunities dissolve, and comfort vanishes. These are not losses. They are layers being burned away so that what remains can reflect light more clearly. Fire does not take your essence. It reveals it. Consider gold in the refiner's hand. It does not cry out when placed in the flame. It simply yields to the process. As the heat rises, impurities rise to the surface, and the refiner removes them carefully, never taking his eyes off the metal. When he can finally see his reflection in it, the refining is complete. That is what God is doing with you. You may think the fire will consume you, but it will not. It will clarify you. It will expose the difference between what was built by emotion and what was born of revelation. Fire reveals foundation. It burns away pretense, leaving only what is anchored in truth. There is beauty in the breaking. Through today you begin to truly speak. You start recognizing peace as a treasure, not a luxury. You stop chasing applause and start chasing presence. You learn that purity is not perfection but alignment. The more the fire burns, the more clearly you can hear the whisper of God within it. You are being forged into a vessel of endurance. The pain that once made you question God will soon be the very proof of his faithfulness. The nights that felt unbearable will one day become your testimony of unbreakable strength. You will be able to say, I walked through fire and did not burn, because his hand was with me in the flames. Fire teaches dependence. When everything else melts away, you learn that his presence alone sustains. There are seasons when God does not calm the fire, because he intends to meet you inside it. Remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The fire that was meant to consume them became the place of encounter. The same flames that destroyed their enemies released their glory. The chosen cannot be delicate. The mantle you carry requires resilience born only in heat. The greater the anointing, the greater the refining. If your fire feels fierce, it is because your calling is weighty. You are being shaped to withstand storms that would crush the unprepared. Do not curse the fire that is making you luminous. Let it do its holy work. Every spark, every flame, every tear that falls in surrender becomes part of your purification. You are being transformed from ordinary metal into divine reflection. And though it hurts, this process is sacred. There will come a day when you will look back and thank God for every flame. You will realize that the fire was never your enemy. It was your sculptor. It burned away fear, pride, and doubt, leaving only faith, humility, and trust. One day, others will see the light in your eyes and call it strength, not knowing it was forged through fire. They will admire your peace, unaware it was birthed in pain. They will sense your authority, not realizing it was formed in surrender. So endure, chosen one. Stand in the fire, not with panic but with purpose. Know that heaven watches closely, that every flicker of pain is producing eternal substance. The heat is not forever. It lasts only until your reflection matches his. And when you emerge, you will not smell like smoke. You will carry the fragrance of transformation, the glow of endurance, the authority of one who has been proven by holy fire. There is a sacred moment in the life of every chosen one when heaven extends something new. A mantle. It is not merely a symbol of favor, but a transfer of divine responsibility. A mantle is weight, not decoration. It is a visible sign of invisible authority, proof that one season of preparation has ended and another of purpose has begun. You have felt this shift already. The restlessness inside you, the sense that what once satisfied no longer fits. It is the whisper that a mantle is being placed upon you. The old garments of survival cannot carry the new weight of assignment. The mantle is heaven's way of saying, it is time. It was recorded in the sacred texts of the second book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 13. And he took up also the mantle of Elijah that fell from him, and went back and stood by the bank of Jordan. That verse marks a moment of transfer. Elijah had completed his race, and the mantle, the visible sign of his anointing, fell to Elisha. But before Elisha could carry it, he had to watch his teacher be taken. Before new power could rest upon him, old attachments had to be released. The departure of Elijah was painful, but it was necessary. For mantles never rest on those who cling to what was. They rest on those willing to move forward into what will be. You too are standing by your own Jordan, holding the weight of what has fallen before you. It may not be the mantle of a prophet, but it is the mantle of a purpose, a legacy, a calling that others before you left unfinished. You have inherited assignments wrapped in obedience, tasks heaven trusted only to those who would not break under the burden. The transfer does not always come through ceremony. Sometimes it comes through suffering. When something or someone departs from your life, what remains is not emptiness, it is inheritance. What others dropped through disobedience, heaven allows you to carry through surrender. You are picking up what once fell, not by ambition, but by alignment. But understand this, the mantle is not light. It carries both authority and accountability. Weaned. To wear it is to walk differently, to speak with reverence, to act with restraint. Those who wear mantles cannot afford to live casually. The higher the calling, the narrower the path. This is why the season before a mantle feels like breaking. Heaven cannot clothe pride. Before you wear it, you must be stripped of ego, impatience, and fear. The mantle demands humility. It rests only upon bowed shoulders. That is why the refining had to happen first, why the fire of purification came before this moment. Fire prepares shoulders to carry glory. The mantle also signifies continuity. God never lets his work die with a single generation. When one voice grows silent, another rises. When one mission ends, another begins. The mantle that rests upon you carries echoes of prayers spoken long before your birth. You are part of a lineage of faith, those who said yes when others turned away. Sometimes you may feel unworthy of what heaven entrusts to you. But worthiness is not the condition. Willingness is. God never waits for perfection before releasing purpose. He looks for hearts that tremble but still obey. If you hold that trembling in your chest now, it is holy. It means heaven has found its vessel. Carrying a mantle will set you apart. Those who once walked with you may not understand the new weight upon you. The conversations will change, the appetites will shift, and the company around you will be refined. The mantle isolates not to punish, but to protect what it carries. Yet it also empowers. The mantle brings authority to act where fear once ruled. You will begin to speak with boldness, move with discernment, and stand where others waver. What intimidated you yesterday will submit to you tomorrow, not because of your strength, but because of what rests upon you. And though you cannot see it, heaven celebrates this moment. Angels record it. The unseen realm recognizes it. The authority of what was once external now rests within you. You carry the continuation of heaven's purpose through your obedience. So walk with reverence. Let humility be your garment beneath the mantle. Never forget that what you carry is not for your glory, but for God's. The mantle is both gift and responsibility, both honor and burden. Treat it as sacred. For soon others will look to you as you once looked to those before you. And when your own season of completion comes, you too will release what was given, passing it to the next obedient heart. This is how heaven keeps its fire alive across generations, through mantles transferred by surrendered hands. You are no longer merely being prepared. You are being entrusted. Wear it with awe. Walk softly, but walk boldly. For the mantle resting upon you is not just a symbol of calling. It is the weight of glory that marks the chosen. Across every generation, God preserves a people who refuse to bow to darkness. They are not defined by numbers but by faith. Small in crowd, vast in spirit. They are the remnant, the ones who remain standing when others have fallen. The ones who keep their flame alive when the wind of compromise blows strong. You are part of that remnant. You may feel few, but heaven counts quality, not quantity. The remnant carries what many have abandoned: purity of heart, steadfast devotion, and a fierce love for truth. They are the intercessors when others are silent, the builders when others scatter, the worshipers when others grow weary. They are heaven's resistance in a world that prefers convenience over conviction. It was spoken in the book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 5. Even so then, at this present time also, there is a remnant according to the election of grace. Grace chose you, not by merit, but by mercy. You are not here because of perfection, but because of preservation. While many have drifted, you remained. Even when faith wavered, something inside you refused to let go. That was not strength. It was grace holding you. To be part of the remnant is to live with both burden and beauty. The burden of feeling what others ignore, and the beauty of seeing what others cannot. You sense the spiritual climate shifting before it reaches the surface. You feel the ache of heaven for a world asleep in comfort. It is both gift and weight, but you are not called to carry it alone. The same God who assigned the task also supplies the strength. The remnant is not loud, they are luminous. They do not demand attention, they draw it by their peace. They are living altars in motion, carrying presence wherever they go. When they enter a place, darkness loses confidence, because light recognizes its own. You have walked through storms that emptied you, yet you did not lose your fire. That's how heaven identifies its remnant, not by ease, but by endurance. The remnant are survivors of both battle and blessing. They have been through fire, but instead of smelling like smoke, they carry the fragrance of faith. But now, beloved, this is also a call to connection. Light grows stronger when it touches other flames. If this message stirs something within you, if it reminds you that you are not alone in this divine assignment, then let your flame join the others. Share it, speak it, spread it. Every share is like passing a torch through the night. Every comment, every subscription, every act of support. It is not mere digital engagement, it is ministry. It is you standing in agreement with heaven's purpose and helping to fan the flames of awakening across the world. And if your heart feels stirred to go further, to keep the fire burning for those still searching in the dark, consider sowing into it. A single spark can light 1,000 candles, but the flame still needs oil. Your generosity, your words, your giving, your willingness becomes the oil that sustains the light. You are not funding a message, you are fueling a movement of renewal. Every time you give, every time you share, you become part of a living chain of redemption. Somewhere, someone you will never meet will hear these words because of you. Your obedience becomes the bridge between heaven's whisper and a desperate soul. So, take a moment, reflect. Has this word found you in a season where you almost let go? Then let it become your renewal. And, if it has strengthened you, pass it forward. Comment below with your reflection, your prayer, your agreement. Your words carry weight. They may be the lifeline someone else needs. When you like, share, or subscribe, you're not just helping an algorithm. You're helping a mission. You're saying, I stand with the remnant. I choose light. You're joining a community of flame keepers, each holding their torch against the wind of apathy. This isn't about building fame, it's about building faith. It's about creating a network of hearts awakened to their divine identity, refusing to let hope go silent. Your engagement is not casual, it's covenantal. Every act of support tells heaven, I'm still here, still believing, still shining. The remnant does not live for applause. They live for alignment. They don't seek recognition, they seek resonance. And when they unite, darkness trembles, because unity among the chosen multiplies light. So, let your flame speak. If these words have touched your spirit, write your reflection below. Let others see your light and know they are not alone. Together, the remnant becomes a constellation, scattered lights forming one great picture of hope across the night sky. And as you share, as you give, as you add your light to this great canvas, remember, heaven sees, heaven records, heaven multiplies. You are not only part of the remnant, you are proof that the remnant still burns. There is a quiet beauty reserved for those who endure. The world often celebrates beginnings, the spark of vision, the excitement of purpose. But heaven celebrates endings well finished. The faithful, those who remain steady when the light dims and the crowd fades, become the true evidence of divine strength. You are among them. You are one of those who did not walk away when obedience turned into endurance. The reward of the faithful is not just in what they receive, but in who they become. Faithfulness is not an act, it is a nature being formed within you. It is the steady rhythm of trust, the heartbeat of obedience that continues even when understanding stops. Heaven does not measure greatness by visibility, but by consistency. The unseen faithfulness of today becomes the eternal reward of tomorrow. It is written in the Gospel, as according to Matthew, chapter 25, verse 21. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. These words are not just a future declaration. They are a present invitation. Enter into the joy means to step into a life carried by divine contentment, where peace becomes your portion even in storms, and gratitude flows not from outcomes but from relationship. This is the joy of the faithful, not a fleeting emotion, but a constant awareness that God was with you all along. To remain faithful when results are unseen is to demonstrate trust beyond logic. Faithfulness is worship without music, prayer without words, love without recognition. It is the daily yes whispered in secret, the steadfastness that refuses to quit when everything else collapses. That is why heaven treasures it so deeply. It is the purest form of devotion. Your endurance has not gone unnoticed. Every quiet act of integrity, every hidden prayer, every decision to stay kind in cruelty's face, heaven saw it all. You may feel unseen, but you have been carefully observed by divine eyes. God has been watching, not as a critic, but as a craftsman, shaping your heart through the tension of perseverance. The reward of faithfulness is transformation. While others chase crowns of gold, the faithful receive crowns of character. You have been learning to find joy in obedience, to see purpose in pain, and to trust without evidence. Those lessons are eternal. They will outlast the applause of men and the shifting seasons of life. Faithfulness does not always feel triumphant. Sometimes it feels like standing in the rain waiting for a rainbow that doesn't come when expected. It feels like loving people who do not understand your heart, or sowing seeds that seem to vanish into the ground. Yet, in those moments, heaven whispers, "Keep going." For in the soil of faithfulness lies the seed of fulfillment. The faithful are gardeners of eternity. They keep planting even when seasons seem barren, because they know that every act of obedience grows something unseen. The fruit may not always appear in your lifetime, but heaven never forgets a faithful seed. Some of your greatest harvests will feed generations you will never meet. This is the secret of divine reward. It is never measured in earthly currency. Faithfulness pays in peace, multiplies in legacy, and endures in eternity. The treasures of heaven are not stored in gold, but in souls transformed by your steadfastness. The people you prayed for, the words you spoke in love, the sacrifices you made silently, these are your eternal investments. And yet, do not misunderstand. The reward is not just after death. It begins now. Each time you choose faithfulness over fear, heaven releases strength. Each time you stay steady in waiting, wisdom deepens within you. Every test endured becomes a testimony written in invisible ink, waiting for the day it will be read aloud in glory. You are walking proof that perseverance still has power. The storms that once sought to sink you have instead taught you to walk on waves. The delays that once frustrated you have now refined your patience. You have become the very strength you once prayed for. This is what the faithful inherit, not simply blessings, but the ability to carry them without breaking. For the faithful, promotion does not puff up, it humbles. Success does not seduce, it sanctifies. The faithful can be trusted with more, because they have proven faithful with less. One day, the voice you've longed to hear will speak over you, not as echo, but as embrace. Well done. Those words will not just affirm your actions, they will recognize your endurance. And in that moment, every tear will make sense. Every sacrifice will find its meaning, and every unanswered question will be met with joy. Until then, remain steady. The path of faithfulness is narrow, but it is holy. You are walking it well. Heaven is closer than it feels, watching with approval, preparing the joy that has your name written on it. There is a stillness that comes before the sound of a trumpet. It is the breathless pause before eternity exhales. Heaven leans close, time slows. The unseen realms await the final echo of decision. You stand now in that stillness, the threshold between mercy and manifestation, between opportunity and outcome. This is the final call. You have heard whispers before, gentle and kind. You have felt the quiet nudges, the divine interruptions, the inner voice saying, return, obey, awaken. But this moment is different. This is not merely another reminder. It is heaven's final summons for alignment. The message has matured. What began as invitation now stands as declaration. It is time. The Apostle Saul wrote in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15, verse 52, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. That verse is not meant to frighten, but to focus. It reminds the chosen that time does not stretch endlessly. It narrows into destiny. The trumpet is both symbol and certainty. A sound that divides what was temporary from what will be eternal. Every life will hear it. Every soul will answer. But the question is not if you will hear. It is how you will respond when it does. For the chosen, this final call is not doom. It is destiny calling home. It is heaven's signal that preparation is complete, that the refining was not in vain, that obedience has built the vessel ready to receive the glory that was promised. Yet for some, it is a warning to awaken before the door of grace closes, to respond before silence replaces invitation. Heaven's calls grow quieter, not because God withdraws, but because He has spoken enough. The next move belongs to you. What will you do with everything you've been shown, every word whispered to your heart, every opportunity to return? The final call is not a shout. It is a sound in the spirit, a frequency that those aligned with heaven can hear even amidst the world's chaos. It asks no more than surrender, yet offers everything in return. It is the sound that separates the distracted from the devoted, the hesitant from the hungry, the chosen from the crowd. This is the moment when heaven watches how the story ends. It is not the grand acts of faith that decide eternity, but the small, steady yes that never stops echoing. The trumpet will not only sound in the sky, it will resound in the hearts of those who have lived attuned to its rhythm. Those who have walked faithfully will not fear its blast. They will recognize it as the sound of home. There is an ache in the air now, a trembling in creation itself. The world groans for renewal, for restoration, for the revealing of those who will rise when others fall. You are among those being revealed. The trials you have endured were not punishment. They were preparation for this unveiling. You were never meant to live hidden forever. What was tested in secret will soon shine in sight. But before the unveiling comes the sealing. Heaven marks its own, not with visible crowns, but with the fragrance of surrender, the imprint of obedience, the glow of divine peace. The final call is not only about returning to God, it is about becoming fully His. The question is no longer, do you believe, but will you belong completely? The sound of the trumpet represents completion, the finishing of what was started. For the chosen, that means closure of cycles, the end of wandering, the breaking of repetitive struggles, the fulfillment of long-standing promises. The same hand that began your journey now reaches to seal it with victory. You may not see the trumpet, but you can feel its vibration, each divine stirring, each prophetic moment, each holy urgency that reminds you eternity is near. It calls you not to panic, but to purity. It summons you not to fear, but to readiness. There will come a time when this call will no longer be spoken through words like these, but through events written into the fabric of time itself. The skies will speak, the earth will shift, and those who have kept their hearts awake will rise, not in panic, but in peace. The faithful will not scramble for grace. They will walk into it. The door that once seemed narrow will swing wide for those who prepared, and every tear, every struggle, every sacrifice will translate into glory untold. The final call is not the end of life. It is the beginning of forever. So now, stand in this stillness with reverence. Feel the air tremble with meaning. Heaven has said all it needs to say. The next sound you hear may change everything. Listen. The trumpet is not far, the light is near, the story is complete. You have heard the call, now live as one who has answered it. Beloved, chosen one, if you have reached this point, heaven smiles upon your endurance. You have walked through revelation, through fire, through silence, through surrender. You have been refined, awakened, and reminded of who you truly are. A vessel of light in a time when darkness pretends to rule. You did not stumble upon these words by chance. You were guided here. Every sentence was a seed meant to awaken what was asleep within you. Now the message completes its circle. Heaven has spoken. The question is no longer, do you hear? It is, what will you do with what you've heard? This is where the story leaves the page and becomes the pulse of your own life. You have been called not just to listen, but to live chosen, to walk with quiet strength, to carry light where shadows linger, to be the evidence that grace still breathes on earth. The crown of purpose already glows faintly over you. Every obedient step polishes it brighter. And if this journey has stirred something within you, if the words have wrapped around your soul like confirmation, then let your response be an act of faith. Whisper your agreement, or better, write it for the world to see. When you comment, when you share, when you like, it is not mere interaction, it is testimony. Each time you pass this light forward, heaven records it as obedience. A ripple of faith traveling farther than your eyes can see. You may think your single act is small, but so is a spark. And yet one spark can ignite a forest. When you share what has touched your heart, you become the bridge for another weary soul still searching for the voice you have now heard. When you subscribe, you're saying, I will stay connected to the current of light. When you speak in the comments, you are not typing, you are testifying. This is not about building numbers. It is about building remembrance. The more the message travels, the more hearts it awakens, and the stronger the remnant becomes. Somewhere, someone's midnight will turn to morning because you decided to share the dawn. So, as you close this chapter, take a deep breath. Feel the weight of heaven's gaze. You have been entrusted with light. Do not let it dim. Carry it to others. Let your life become the continuation of this message, written not in ink, but in action. And when you return, because the chosen always return for more, know that every click, every comment, every share, every prayer whispered over this message is fuel for a flame that will not go out. The story is ending, but the mission begins. Walk in your calling, spread the light, and remember, heaven watches records and rejoices over every act of faith that flows from your hands and heart.